The second situation I'd like to discuss is circumstance where a child's rejection of another parent is a response to the anxious attachment of the child to the resident parent. Sometimes, in high conflict separations, an alienating parent can put a child in a loyalty bind, where they feel as though they need to reject the other parent in order to remain in the good books and please the parent with whom they live with most of the time. Often that is the mother, however it's gender non-specific. Alienation can go both ways. The parents who encourage, whether consciously or unconsciously, the child to reject the other parent will often have an anxious attachment parenting style. That means that they are unable to filter or unable to hide their feelings of anxiety, distrust, or other more nefarious emotions towards the other parent from the child. So the child is left under no illusions of exactly how that parent feels about the other parent. There are other indicia of anxious attachment that seem to come up in cases after cases. Co-sleeping is one of them. Breastfeeding to a more advanced stage is another one of them. And frequent denigration of the other parent in the household is another common sign that we see. It is often the case in situations where you're dealing with an overly anxious parent that changeover starts to look more like a hostage changeover than a simple exchange on a Saturday morning. Children are left in a situation where they feel as though they are letting the other parent down by spending time with the other parent. The way that this can be dealt with through the court is a therapeutic intervention, and what that means is the parents and the child need to be ordered to attend upon a practitioner, a psychologist or a social worker or a psychiatrist that has specific experience in family reunifications, that understands anxious attachment, and that also understands what happened, have worked in cases where alienation is present. It's important that that therapeutic intervention is ordered by the court, because if the parties are simply able to appoint their own practitioners, sometimes alienating parents will be able to appoint practitioners that might be sympathetic to their own narrative, and there may be inappropriate communication going between the alienating parent and the practitioner, and as a result their practitioner can become an advocate for the alienating parent and can become part of the problem. If a therapeutic intervention is ordered by the court, there is scrutiny about how that is to occur, what the appointments are to be, what the frequency of the appointments are to be, and how the parties are able to communicate with the practitioner. It is also important that that therapy is reportable to the court. What that means is that everything that is discussed in therapy can then be discussed with the independent children's lawyer and can be turned into a report for a judge or a senior registrar to determine whether all the parties have been making a genuine effort to move forward at the therapy. By having that form of scrutiny over the therapy, and the parents know that if they are simply if they try to undermine that therapeutic process, there may be consequences in court. The sword of Damocles that effectively hovers over everybody's head can be used as an effective stick in moving the parties along to a reunification.